respected dignitaries, faculties, and students, a very good morning to one and all. It is my honor to welcome you all to the National Workshop on Environmental Restoration organized by Department of Civil Engineering, KMEA Engineering College. Let us start the program with a prayer.
ആനന്ദയാനുവാദാക്ഷിണ്യശാലിയായി വാഴുന്നോരീശ്വരൻ തിരുനാമത്തിൽ നിഖില അഖിലേശ്വരനല്ലയോ സകല സ്തുതിയും അഖിലേശ്വരനല്ലയോ സകല സ്തുതിയും മാത്രം സതതം സഹായമായി തീർപ്പതും തിരുമുമ്പിൽ വഴിയെല്ലാം സന്മാർഗഭ്രഷ്ടർത്തൻ വഴിയിലുമല്ല ആനന്ദയാനുവായി ദാക്ഷിണ്യശാലിയായി വാഴുന്നോരീശ്വരൻ തിരുനാമത്തിൽ നിഖില ലോകങ്ങൾക്കോമേ അഖിലേശ്വരനല്ലയോ സകല സ്തുതിയും.
The Kerala Muslim Educational Association was established in 1955 with the lofty aim of setting up quality educational institutions at par with global standards, promoting education among socially and financially underprivileged sections of the society, and provides financial aid to the deserving students. KMEA Engineering College, established in 2002, is affiliated to APJ Abdul Kalam Technological University and approved by AICTE New Delhi. The Department of Civil Engineering started the BTech program in 2008 and MTech program in 2012, aims to produce bright graduates and postgraduates in civil engineering to meet the rapid technological advances and industrial requirements. The Department of Civil Engineering, in association with TEPCEL, is organizing a 2-day national workshop on environmental restoration in connection with the World Environment Day. In this occasion, I invite Ms. Fasna Nazim, Assistant Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, for the welcome speech.
A very good morning to one and all present here. Respected Director, Dr. T.M. Amanishar, Vice Principal, Dr. Rekha Lakshmanan, HODs of all the departments, eminent resource persons, participants, teachers, and my dear students. It is my pleasure to welcome you all for the inaugural function of the 2-day National Workshop on Environmental Restoration on 4th and 5th June 2020. This is the first national workshop in the history of KMEA Engineering College, which is completely conducted on a digital platform due to COVID-19 pandemic. First of all, I heartily welcome our respected director, Dr. Amar Nishar, who has been the pillar behind the event. Sir had joined KMEA in 2015 as director of KMEA Engineering College, Arts College, and Architectural College after his retirement from TKM Engineering College as principal. I welcome you, sir, for the function. Dr. Rekha Lakshmanan, Vice Principal, KMEA Engineering College, who is our guiding light. She had joined KMEA Engineering College in 2003. Since June 2016, she was the professor and head of the Computer Science Department, KMEA. I warmly welcome you, ma'am, for the function. We are very privileged to have 4 eminent resource persons for the workshop. I welcome Dr. Kurian Joseph, Professor of Environmental Engineering, Center for Environmental Studies, Anna University, Chennai. Dr. Tara KG, former member, State Disaster Management Authority and Head, Disaster Management Center, Government of Kerala. Dr. KV George, Senior Principal Scientist, Air Pollution Control Division, Needy Nagpur, and Dr. J.M. Paul, Professor, MA College of Engineering, Kodamangalam. I feel happy to welcome our head of the department, Dr. Chitra V.S., who has been the backbone of the program. She had taken her PhD from IIT Madras in the field of environmental engineering. I welcome you, ma'am. Once again, my genial welcome to all the heads of the departments, teachers, and students who are all present here to add radiance to this occasion. On behalf of KME Engineering College, Kerala, I welcome all the participants from all over India for this 2 days online workshop on environmental restoration. Once again, I welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I welcome Dr. Chitra V.S., HOD, Department of Civil Engineering, to kindly give a briefing about the workshop.
Respected Director Amar Nisha, other organization, faculty members, and students. Good morning to one and all. It's my pleasure to say a few words about the 2 days national workshop on environmental restoration organized by the Department of Civil Engineering, KMEA Engineering College, in connection with World Environmental Day 2021. As you all know that World Environmental Day is celebrated every year in June 5th based on a theme proposed by United Nations. Our workshop is closely related to this year World Environmental Day theme, that is ecosystem restoration. This workshop will provide a platform for students and faculty members to interact with the experts in the field of environmental engineering. And we got a very good response from all over the country with 66 external participants. Participants are mainly from Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Bihar, Haryana, and Andaman. We have 4 eminent speakers for the workshop in the environmental engineering field. In today's first section, Dr. Kurian Joseph, Professor, Center for Environmental Studies, Anna University, will give a talk on the topic Ethics of Sustainability. The afternoon section will be handled by Dr. Tara, former member, State Disaster Management Authority and Head, Disaster Management Center, Government of Kerala, on the topic Disasters and Need for Ecosystem Restoration. On day 2, that is tomorrow, Dr. KV George, Senior Principal Scientist, Air Pollution Control Division, National Environmental Engineering Research Institute, Nagpur, will deliver a talk on basics of atmospheric pollution. A talk on role of engineers in sustainable environment will be given by Dr. J. M. Paul, Professor, MA College of Engineering, Kodamangalam, in the afternoon. I hope this workshop will improve your knowledge and make you a little more concerned about our environment. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, I would like to invite Director and Principal of KMEA Engineering College, Dr. Amanisha TM, for the inaugural address.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then anyway, even during this lockdown situation, we are fortunate to conduct this type of program on a virtual platform. Anyway, it is a pleasure for me to be a part of this two-day national workshop on environmental restoration organized by the Civil Engineering Department of our college in association with the TEPSEL of the college. At the outset, I would like to appreciate the organizers of this program in making it a reality. Even during this lockdown situation, the organizers, along with the entire staff of the department, took an initiative to organize this program on the virtual platform. Once again, I appreciate the organizers of this program. I'm happy to note that our college is an NAAC accredited institute. Apart from the regular teaching learning process, we regularly organize quantifiable and result-oriented programs that contribute to the professional growth of our students. By this, we have notable achievements in the education scenario. Very recently, the Institution Innovation Council, that is the IIC, formed in the college with the support of Ministry of Education, Government of India, helps students to work with the new ideas and transform them into prototypes while they are in the campus doing their course of study. For the 2 consecutive years, since its inception, our college has secured selection for funding from Ministry of Education, Government of India by taking part in proof of concept contest held in national level. This year, 127 colleges have been selected across India for this finance support. We are one among the 3 colleges selected from Kerala by organizing various programs under the Institution Innovation Council of the college. On a regular basis, we create an innovation promotion ecosystem in the campus that helps the college to secure 5-star rating from the Ministry of Education. And at the same time, we secure the 64th position in the adult ranking. Our infrastructure and associated facilities are excellent and incomparable with any other colleges in the state of Kerala. We have a strong team of faculty. They are committed to transform our college into a center of excellence in the field of technical education. Today, we have joined on a virtual platform to participate in a 2-day national workshop on environmental restoration being organized to commemorate the World Environment Day set for June 5th every year. We all know that due to the rapid advancement of technology and urbanization, we are in a critical situation to face the increased pollution in the environment. So it is the responsibility of all of us to combat and minimize the environmental problem that faces in the society. In this 2 days program, experts from academic and industries would handle sessions on the proposed subject domain. I hope the program would be beneficial for both the participating students and faculty. I wish the program would become a great success. Before I conclude, I declare the program is open. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Vice Principal of KMEA Engineering College, Dr. Rekha Lakshmanan, for the felicitation.
Good morning, respected Principal cum Director, Dr. T.M. Amanishad sir, eminent speakers of this session, faculties from various colleges, dear colleagues and my dear students. Let me first appreciate Civil Department, all the staff and students of Civil Department for organizing this 2-day FDP on environment restoration. That is a topic on the need of the day. We all know that we are celebrating June 5th as the World Environment Day. And as Sir mentioned earlier, due to this rapid urbanization and pollution, It is adversely affecting our environment. And in this scenario, the topic for discussions, the various topics considered for discussion in this FDP is very relevant, and it will definitely create an awareness among all of you. And from the participant list, I noticed that around 20 faculties and 46 students from outside Kerala are participating in this FDP. So many are there from inside Kerala. Thank you all for showing the trust. And so many eminent speakers are there with us. I wish all the success to the program. Let this FDP be a fruitful session. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I welcome Ms. Shruti Vijaykumar, Assistant Professor of Civil Engineering Department, to deliver the vote of thanks. Good morning to one and all. It gives me immense pleasure to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. We are happy to know that even during this pandemic period, several environmental enthusiasts have registered for this two-day national workshop on environmental restoration from different parts of our country. This gives us immense energy to organize similar programs in future. Now, let me come to the pleasant duty of thanking everyone who made this event a reality. First of all, we, the Department of Civil Engineering, in association with TEPCEL, express our deep sense of gratitude to the management of KMEA Engineering College and to our director and principal, Dr. Amar Nisha TM, in particular, for the wonderful encouragement and support. Thank you, sir. On behalf of KMEA management and Department of Civil Engineering, we place on record our sincere gratitude to the eminent resource persons, Dr. Kurian Joseph, Dr. Tara KG, Dr. KV George, and Dr. J. M. Paul. Next, we express our sincere thanks to Vice Principal, Dr. Rega Lakshman, for the constant encouragement and support. Thank you, Madam. Thanks are also due to our HOD, Dr. Chitra VS, for the wholehearted support and encouragement. Thank you, Madam. Last but not the least, I extend sincere thanks to Dr. Remisha TV, Ms. Fasna Naseem, and coordinators Ms. Ashwari KV and Mr. Binoy Benjamin, and all other colleagues in the department for their continuous involvement in organizing this two-day national workshop. We sincerely hope that this national workshop on environmental restoration will enrich all the participants. Once again, wishing you all the very best and thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Now the inaugural ceremony has come to an end. We hope this workshop will provide a platform for the participants to interact with the eminent speakers. Thank you all.
Dear participants, please note that our first session will begin by 10:15 a.m. So I kindly request all the participants to join the Google Meet by 10 a.m. itself. Thank you.
Morning, Dr. Shruti.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Ready?
Yes, sir. We can begin the session soon, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Now, we begin with our first session on Ethics of Sustainability by Dr. Kurian Joseph. Before we begin the session, let me introduce our eminent speaker to all of you. Dr. Kurian Joseph is an environmental engineer and current.
Ready?
Yes, sir. We can begin the session soon, sir.
May I? Shruti ma'am?
Yes, Vinay, you can start.
Dr. Kurian Joseph is an environmental engineer and currently the professor at Center of Environmental Studies and Director of Internal Quality Assurance Cell in Anna University, Chennai. He received his BTech degree in Civil Engineering from University of Calicut, MTech in Environmental Engineering from University of Kerala, and pursued his PhD in Environmental Engineering from Anna University for the research work titled Studies on Cotton Hosiery Dyeing Effluents for Minimization of Total Dissolved Solids by Low Salt Reactive Dyeing at Low Ratio and Decolorization by Physiochemical Treatment. The main areas of his interest include municipal solid waste management, industrial and hazardous waste treatment, cleaner production, and environmental management systems. He is currently associated with Commissioner of Municipal Administration, Government of Tamil Nadu, in the implementation of projects related to biomining of dump sites. He is an expert member of the Tamil Nadu State Level Advisory Committee on Solid Waste Management. He is also a member of National Steering Committee for the Technology Need Assessment Project in the waste sector set up by TIFAC, as well as a member of the Technical Committee on Solid Waste Management of the Greater Corporation of Chennai. With extreme privilege, I am glad to welcome Dr. Kurian Joseph, sir, for today's workshop. Sir?
Thank you. Thank you. You permit me to share the screen?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Please.
Are you able to see the screen?
Sir, the screen is visible and you may put it in the presentation mode so that it will be visible more clearly.
Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's fine.
So very good morning to all of you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Okay. So at the outset, I thank the organizers of this national workshop on environmental restoration, organized by the Department of Civil Engineering, KMB Engineering College, Alua, for their initiative to organize this two-day event connected with World Environment Day 2021. So let us begin this interaction, which focuses on ethics of sustainability, by asking ourselves few questions. So the key question that we would like to ask and then find answers is basically, we all agree that we take a lot of efforts to prepare our children for the future. But are we doing enough to prepare the future for our children? Now, what kind of a future we should provide, and what kind of a preparation we should do, and what are our responsibility? Primarily, how we can provide a future where our children can live well within the means of our Mother Earth. Recognizing the fact that we are living on a finite spaceship called Earth, in which everything is connected to everything else. And there are different aspects to our well-being in terms of our basic needs, good health, healthy social relations, our safety, our security, and also our freedom to achieve the potential that each of us are blessed with. So how do we behave responsibility to be good citizens, good stewards over this planet Earth, the beautiful planet, to our knowledge, the only place where life exists. So the future that we dream is not something that will happen to us automatically, but it is something that we actively create through every action that we take. And in this session, primarily, the participants are engineers, teachers, students. So we can ask specifically this question to our engineers. Can our engineers engineer a sustainable future? So it is in this background, this session which focuses on ethics of sustainability is planned, where I hope the concept of sustainability is already familiar to you. Right from school days, people would have been talking, teaching. The concept is very simple. It means that we have the right to meet our needs, but our rights should not compromise the right of others to meet their needs. And when we talk about others, it also includes the current generation and the future generation. So which means that it requires a very balanced pursuit of ecological health, social equity, and economical welfare. So it requires an ethical commitment to our well-being, well-being of all the people of our contemporary population, and also well-being of the future generation. So that is the basic ethics of sustainability. We want to have welfare. We want to have welfare for all the people. We have 7.5 billion people currently on this planet. And also, we would like to have well-being, not only just the well-being that we have, a better well-being and conditions for the future, our children. So we should be aware of the foundations of this ethics in terms of sustainability framework, in terms of the different challenges, in terms of the ethical principles, in terms of how we can translate these principles into practice. So the concept is very simple. It has evolved, at least in the past 50 years. People are talking about sustainability, sustainable development, but still it remains a bit difficult to implement because of its complexity, because of the enormous thinking. You will look for sustainability definitions, you will see hundreds of definitions. So many times that leads to confusion. So in this 1 hour, let us try to reflect on this and try to identify what we can do, what we can influence. So which means we should start asking ourselves, who are we? So if we start asking ourselves, who are we may get different answers. But all of us will get same or similar answers with reference to certain aspects. I hope all of us who are listening to this agree that we are one among the species with about 27,000 days of life in this beautiful planet, which is having about 4 billion years of history. We also will agree that we are biophysical agents who reshape the ecology of this entire planet and also the future or the fate of all other species of this beautiful planet where there are billions of other species. And many times we claim ourselves as supermen and smart women as compared to our forefathers. But still, we require food, we require energy, we require clean water, we require clean energy, as was the case with our forefathers. Though our civilization has improved, our lifestyles have changed beyond recognition, our biological needs remains the same. So which means that we are not exempt from the laws of nature. But since our social and economical development has bestowed on us with a lifestyle which is many times insulated from physical hardship, infectious diseases, or chronic violences, we forget the fact that we have the potential to make this planet on which we exist a heaven or a hell. It is in our hands. And we experience this in terms of different facts that happen around us. If you look at our climate system, all of us agree that it is reacting to accommodate the increased non-terrestrial carbon load in terms of the changed weather patterns, the increase in temperatures, the glacier melting, the sea level rise, and also the hardships associated with droughts, floods, wildfires, etc. So to start our reflection, we should recollect our evolution. Because from our science, we would have learned that life existed here for about 3.8 billion years. And in this 3.8 billion years, if you try to map on a 24-hour scale, we human beings appeared only in the last minute. And having appeared on this Mother Earth in the last minute, 99% of our evolution was as just hunters and gatherers. So only in the last fraction of few seconds, which may take us about 10,000 years, we have started settling with agriculture. And still only a minor fraction of this 10,000 years, maybe the last 200 years, we have emerged in terms of a industrialized, developed society. So it is just a blink of an eye if you consider our evolution in the history of this planet Earth. But in this small millisecond time, we have done great things, and also we are realizing that many of the things that we do are hitting back. And we have our own self-images. If you look at our selfie, because now we are in a world of taking selfies. So from an economic point of view, the image of humanity is that of somebody who is standing alone, keeping money in the bag, keeping a calculator in the head, having ego in the mind, and having the nature at the feet. We hate to work, love luxury. We have insatiable wants and knows the price of everything. This is what an economist picture of human being. And the social scientist will say that we are the only species which is able to do things intentionally. So which means if you want to do good thing, if we have that intention, we the human beings are the only species which will be able to do that. And quite often we do things with good intention, but we end up in unexpected bad things. So how do we deal with this? How do we nurture the humane nature in the human beings? How do we create conventions, norms, and institutions which are built on a common ground? And how do we devise our series of actions which can be assessed for its effectiveness in contributing to a sustainable future is basically the question that we need to ask. Of course, whether that means that we need to forego the wonders of our modernity in terms of high-speed mass transport of people, goods, and information, or in terms of the comforts of our indoor environment, where we can make it cool when it is hotter outside, we can make it toasty when it is cold outside, we can make it light when it is dark, we can make it dark when it is light outside. We have a miraculous lifestyle as a result of our development which has happened. And we feel this convenience of automatically come. Many times we forget the fact that all this convenience, for all this convenience, there is a precondition. The precondition is the environmental system. The Earth's life support system in terms of the air environment, the water environment, the biological environment, in terms of the land environment, is closely interacting and supporting our human system. our people, the views of our people, the decision making that happens in our society, the economic activities in terms of our production, consumption, and distribution. So how do we decouple this economic development from the degradation of the environmental supporting system is basically the challenge of sustainability. Since most of you are engineers, we can translate this relationship in terms of a very simple equation. Quite often it is quoted as the I part equation. I refers to the environmental impact, which is the product of the population, the affluence or the consumption, and the technology by which we produce goods for our consumption. These impacts may be local, it may be regional, it may be global. So how do we decouple this? Some people say we should control population. Some people say we should look at our technology. And some people say it should be by looking at our consumption patterns. So this becomes an ethical question. Do we need to control the population? Is it ethical to say that we should reduce the number of people? Is it ethical to say that we should reduce our consumption and reduce the environmental impact? Or is it ethical to say that we should go back to the hunter-gatherer period where we were not having technologies and we can reduce the environmental impact? So these are questions for which there is no straight answer unless we are clear with reference to what is good, what is bad. Now, if you look around the planet, we will see there are several syndromes of bad things that happen. Scientists have tried to collect and categorize these syndromes of global change, as you see here. Which is categorized into utilization syndrome, development syndrome, sink syndrome. They have identified 16 syndromes. All this relates to degradation of environmental systems, either due to over-cultivation on marginal land. Maybe you are doing it because of poverty, over-exploitation of natural ecosystems. Maybe we are doing it to meet our food security, environmental degradation that is happening through abandonment of traditional agricultural practices. We all leave the rural area and come to cities, the rural exodus syndrome, or non-sustainable agricultural industrial use of our soil, our land and water, or environmental degradation as a result of depletion of non-renewable resources through mining, or development and destruction of nature for our recreation activities, the mass tourism syndrome, or environmental destruction that is happening as a result of wars and military actions that is happening. Or it may be as a result of development which neglects the environment. Or it could be the result of the green revolution. Or it could be the development which is neglecting the environmental legislations, or environmental degradation that is happening as a result of uncontrolled urban growth, the slum development in cities, or maybe it is the result of planned development, the urban sprawls that happens in the cities, or it could be the result of major accidents which leads to environmental catastrophes, or maybe it is the result of or disposal of the waste that we generate or the chemicals that we generate which persist in nature, or the contamination of the environmental assets that we have. So this calls for a transformation in the way we do things. It calls for an analysis of root causes of this syndrome and then try to address rather than just near the symptoms. The symptoms may come out in times of climate change, loss of biodiversity, soil degradation, scarcity of water, threats to our health, threats to our food security, or maybe in times of man-made disasters, or in generic terms we call pollution. So this gives us the clear message that there is only a limited, safe, and just space, as depicted by this picture. I hope you're able to see this. There are two Lakshman Rekhas, and the safe and the just space that we all have to live well is between these two circles. The one circle of social foundation, which talks about the basic necessities that are required for our well-being. It could be in terms of food, water, energy, health, education, income, and work, peace, political voice, social equity, gender equity, housing, social networking. All these are the basic essentials for our well-being, which all of us are entitled, but there is a big shortfall in that in many areas. At the same time, there is an outer ceiling, the ecological ceiling, which could be in terms of climate change, in terms of ocean acidification, ozone layer depletion, air pollution, biodiversity loss, or conversion of land, or withdrawal of fresh water, or eutrophication due to excess usage of nutrients, or chemical pollution, or ocean acidification. Ideally, for us to have welfare, we should be acting within this ecological ceiling. But here we have already overshoot in many cases. For example, climate change, biodiversity loss, our land conversions, land degradation, our nutrient loading onto environment. So at the moment, we transgress all these lines, the lines of social foundation and also the ecological ceiling. Billions of people are still living in the hole that you can see in the middle. At the same time, we have already crossed the boundaries in several places. So the challenge, the sustainability question is, how do we able to provide for this shortfall with reference to the social foundation without overshooting and by correcting where we have already overshoot? So this is the biggest challenge of sustainability. And it is not a simple challenge. This is a complex challenge because you'll see that there is a cross connection between this social foundation and the environmental ceiling. For example, to address a social basic requirement of food, if we want to address, we need to convert land, we need to use water, we need to use nutrients in terms of nitrogen and phosphorus. Now, when you do this, that may lead to biodiversity loss. That will contribute to climate change. It can also undermine the availability of water. And all of this will undermine the potential to grow food, which is basic requirement for our social foundation. So just we think of food, it is connected with climate change, it is connected with water use, it is connected with biodiversity loss, it is connected with land use changes, it is connected with nutrient discharge of pollution. Now, if you take climate change, which is the inconvenient truth of our consumption and production, basically connected with our energy use directly or indirectly. It has got impacts on water resources, on our health, on our infrastructure, on the biodiversity, and also the economic growth. And these impacts are disproportionately distributed. Especially the impacts are going to be more on the poor. And the impacts are mostly contributed by the rich. Locally also, if you look at, you'll be able to see in different places, in different forms, the impacts of our consumption, which is badly affecting the limited resources that we have. Here you see the waste from our consumption being disposed into a water body. And on the other end, we talk about water scarcity. Since you are from Cochin, Alua, I think these pictures are still clear and fresh in your memory, where we have seen the hard lessons of our own interventions in times of violations and then interventions by judiciary to destroy what we human beings have created. The impacts have not still settled down. So all this means that if you're looking at sustainability, it calls for an ethical revolution. A revolution which extends the concerns beyond community and nations. A revolution which is interdisciplinary. A revolution which is pluralistic in nature, which is different in terms of ideas and perspectives, and which will compete with each other to retain its vitality. It is global in nature. The crisis is global. The pollution doesn't respect the boundaries of state or country. It is global. No country can deal with this in isolation. So that is why we say environmental ethics is revolutionary. At the level of ideas, it challenges our dominant, deep-rooted beliefs, which basically is trying to address our duty of care to all the individuals who are there now and also to the future generations who are non-existing, not only to the humans, also to the non-human beings. And in terms of practice, it means that we need to look at the materialism, the consumerism, which are all classic features of modern capitalism. And it calls for a green lifestyle in harmony with nature. Which means it calls for a very deep moral consciousness to cope with the global environmental crisis. We must reach some value consensus and cooperate with each other at personal, national, regional, multinational, and global levels. So the question is, what are our obligations to other human beings, to future human generations, to other species, to other living beings? So many times people ask whether we should focus on human beings alone, or should we focus on all life forms, or all on in its totality, the ecocentrism, the ecosystem centered. So sustainability is the most important idea of environmental ethics. Sometimes people also ask many questions like this. Are we not people like at a party where the basic principle is first come, first served? Should we leave as much as good for other people and future people if it requires that we need to sacrifice? Whether human need define the ecosystem health, or the ecosystem health define the limit of human need. Will the future people be able to invent new land or resources? Will the future people will be able to recreate the biodiversity that we destroy? Do we care about our ecosystems and other species only because they serve human interest, or do they deserve care is because they are valuable on their own terms like other human beings? I'm not getting into the discourse and arguments, but the general understanding and agreement globally is that for us, for our species to survive, we need to live with better qualities of humankind. We need to accept our role and responsibility as stewards of this planet Earth. This means that we need to be beneficial for the whole ecosystem if ecosystem is to be beneficial for us. If we are not being beneficial for the all, there is every possibility that nature will discard us. That nature has done that many times. There are very clear examples of species got extinct from nature, but nature still sustains. So if one species is trying to play with nature, people feel that there is a possibility that the nature will act to kick out that species, the human species. So we need to get connected and live in harmony with the nature, according to the laws of nature. So which means from our supremacy thinking with ego, we need to shift our thinking in terms of consideration for our home, the ecological thinking, in terms of balancing the growth, conservation, and equity. All of us know that nature has got four orders: the physical order, the pranic order, the animal order, the human order, which is the topmost order of human beings. And we need to live in harmony with all these four levels. Harmony in the human being in terms of peace and justice, harmony in the family, harmony in the society, and also harmony in the nature. In nature, if you look at the first three orders, they are mutually fulfilling for themselves as well as for the human being. Only the fourth order, the human order, there is problem. So if nature degrades, in all probability, the sequence in which these orders will disappear will be the reverse order of evolution, which means it could be the human order, that will be extinct first before the other orders. So sustainability is a commitment to create very satisfying lives for all of us within the means of nature. This calls for environmental conservation, equity in terms of intergenerational equity, and also intragenerational equity. The rights of the people who are within the current generation, there should be fair access to the resources. The rights of future generation to enjoy a fair level of common patrimony also needs to be ensured. Now, if you look at in terms of capitals, there are 5 capitals: the natural capital, the man-made capital, the human capital, the cultural capital, the social capital. So sustainability just means that maintaining these 5 stocks of capital, especially the first 2, the natural capital and the man-made capital, rather than increasing one at the expense of other, which tends to be the common pattern. We want to destroy the natural capital and enhance or increase the man-made capital. It is just common sense that if we are given an account of capital or FD, it remains the same only if the removal rate equals the interest rate. So which means that the withdrawals in terms of the use of resources or pollution should match with the deposits in terms of environmental action and natural restoration. Then only we'll be able to achieve sustainability in terms of meeting our goals, our needs, without compromising the right of others to meet their needs. So which means that as a society, we need to ensure that the nature is not subjected to systematically increasing concentration of substances that are extracted from the Mother Earth, increasing concentration of substances that are produced by the society, increasing degradation by physical means of production, assimilation, and life-supporting services. We should also ensure that the people of this planet are not subjected to structural obstacles, to health, to influence, to competence, and to impartiality or unfair selections. It's not just for charity's sake, but out of our selfless concern, out of our own sustenance. Because unless the capital is there, we are not there. So which means we need to respect renewability, substitution, carrying capacity, interdependence, resilience and adaptability, and the institutional commitment as the key characteristics that defines sustainability. So how do we move? The basic philosophy is learn from nature, because the nature has sustained itself for billions of years, and it sustains by using solar energy, by using biodiversity, and also nutrient cycling. There are several natural laws that we can see from nature. That nature uses only the energy it needs, and it relies on freely available energy, that is sunlight. The nature fits its form to function. Nature recycles everything. Nature rewards cooperation. Nature banks on diversity. Nature relies on local expertise. Nature copes excesses that happens within. That is how the nature is able to provide us resources in terms of air, water, soil, energy, and minerals. And ecosystem services. There are about 25 such services. The key services in terms of pollination service, in terms of waste treatment service, climate regulation service, nutrient recycling service, pest or disease control service. For all these things, the energy comes from the sun. And the sun shines on the earth every day to provide enough energy that is required. So this means that you require not just the ability to read, write, count, or calculate. That is what normally we talk in terms of our literacy. We need a different level of literacy. That is the sustainability literacy or the systems literacy, which means that we should be able to understand the complexity of this interdependency. Our education should provide a technical understanding of these ecosystem processes. And we should be able to understand the interdisciplinarity, which should encourage explorations of connections between the traditionally isolated disciplines to better address specific real-world problems, environmental problems, social problems, or economic problems. To take a simple example, all of us are familiar with the honeybees. A threat to the health of the honeybees will be a serious threat to our human food chain. How often we think of that? We look at honeybees as just providers of honey. Of course, they do that, but they're the most active pollinators who are responsible for 80 of the world's most common non-grain crops, which provides almost 80% of the foods that we eat. And to some degree, the products of bee pollination represent 1/3 of the total agricultural output. Now, worldwide, millions of colonies and billions of bees have perished due to increasing burden of human agricultural system or urbanization, and due to the different epidemic infections that happens that results from the changes in our practices. So this is a simple example. But many times, two features of our lives militate against an ecological system-based worldview. One is the mental framework which rewards us for the normalization and simplification of complex realities. Second, the economic and institutional arrangements that are designed to protect us from the material wants as well as from the risk, shock, disorder, and violent changes. But of late, we have started realizing that these mental frameworks and these institutional arrangements are not able to give us the protection. Only the Mother Nature will be the last resort that we can rely on. So we can take this kind of disruptions that happens. Currently, we are passing through one such disruption are indicators that our Mother Nature is acting according to her nature, is prompting us to act according to our own mostly forgotten nature. the forgotten nature is that our dependence on ecosystem. There is no special relevance beyond the sudden responsibility of reformed stewardship and management. So which means we have the responsibility to gain knowledge as required and develop capacity to perform the actions. Of course, we should be able to choose voluntarily, and the performance should affect ultimately the welfare of human beings. We should also be aware that there are different impediments because we are a society. There are situations where actions with good intentions sometimes intensify the problem, which quite often referred to as cobra effect. Those who are interested can read more about this. It is said that British tried to get rid of cobras by offering a reward for captured snakes. But then locals started breeding cobras and giving them to the government to collect the reward. So many times when we take a particular action without seeing this linkage or energy subsidies, or there are different other for civil engineers to reduce traffic congestion, the immediate solution that we provide is build the flyovers. Whether building a flyover or widening of highways, providing a sustainable solution to the traffic congestion. Ask yourself, what are the other alternatives for a broad level thinking? There is also the syndrome of boiling frog, which means that there is a tendency or inability of people to react to significant changes that occur gradually. Many times these environmental impacts are like that. So we should not be like the frog who got boiled, sitting in the comfort of the slow heating. There is also paradox in terms of efficiency improvement, which is happening. Quite often it is referred to as Evans paradox in terms of the rebound effect and the backfire effect. Could be in terms of energy efficiency improvement or material efficiency improvement, which is quite often talked as the key thing that we can do towards efficiency achievement. The point here is that as our efficiency improves, of course, over a period of time, our technological developments have substantially contributed to improving our efficiency. But when efficiency improves, when production becomes easy, materials are being made available, that should not lead to overconsumption. Then that will not lead to sustainability. Efficiency improvement is required. That should be required to make available the goods for whom the goods are not available, not for increased consumption by the group who are already consuming. So how do we proceed? I hope people are following. Yes?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Not getting bored?
No, sir.
Do you have some questions at this moment?
Sir, it is better that after you finish your presentation, we'll ask the participants to have a discussion with you.
Okay. That's what you want. Okay. So that is good. Okay. So having understood the criticality or the challenges associated with this concept of sustainability, now the question is, how do we move forward? Because very often you would have seen this kind of balancing act by little children on street corner. we should be able to do similar acts. Maybe at the look of it, it may appear to be a bit difficult. But the demonstration by different people shows that it is feasible and possible. Maintaining the balance in terms of consuming differently, or that producing differently, organizing differently, thinking differently. Now, thinking differently means we need to have the right mindset. There are 5 mindsets that are required for sustainability. So if at the end of the session, if you carry this 5 mindset and apply this mindset to whatever we do, either at our personal level or professional level or social level, that will lead us to sustainability. So what are these mindset? The first mindset is our ability to see the connections, especially with reference to the sustainability challenges that we discussed in terms of meeting the basic social foundation, in terms of how we process the ecological ceiling. Now, once you start looking at, many times people get lost because you will be able to see connections everywhere. So we should have the analytical mindset, especially as scientists or engineers. We should be able to use the available tools to analyze these connections and provide solutions to the challenges. We should also be aware that we are human beings. So our knowledge, our tools, our technologies all have got limitations. All are based on simplifications. So we should have a precautionary mindset to deal with the uncertainties, where there are indications that things are going in the wrong direction. We should not wait for demanding proof, scientific evidence, but instead we should take action in the positive directions. The 2 more mindsets that are required are the action mindset and action in collaboration. We should be able to translate the understanding that we had, the solutions that we developed, into actions. And that action should be in interaction with the different stakeholders. The different stakeholders may have different interests. So how do we balance the different interests of the different stakeholders to achieve and translate the understanding and the actions that are required to achieve sustainability is really a challenge. Of course, it's not just a challenge for each of us, it's a challenge globally. So the discussions pertains to this were taking place at different levels, especially led by the United Nations. The global nations used to meet and to discuss and evolve concepts and goals with reference to how we need to proceed. So it started with 1972, the Stockholm Conference. In fact, the World Environment Day that we are celebrating tomorrow is in commemorance to the Stockholm Conference that happened in 1972, where the declaration of the conference came out on 5th June. So 5th June, we are celebrating as World Environment Day. Now, as a follow-up of this Stockholm Conference, we have a commission set up to look into the issues and come out with solutions or recommendations. In 1987, the Brundtland Report, named Our Common Future, was the first official document where the concept of sustainability is formally brought out. That was followed up in terms of the Rio de Janeiro meeting 1992, often referred to as the Earth Summit. Then every 5 years, 10 years, there are review meetings. There are also action agendas. In 1992, there was Agenda 21. At the beginning of this millennium, we had Millennium Development Goals. And the latest agenda that we have is the 2015 agenda with a 15-year time frame. That is the Sustainable Development Goal. So our action agenda currently is guided by a set of rules and principles which are evolved over a period of maybe past 50 years. So there are about 27 such basic principles which relates to the ecological, social, and economic pillars of sustainability. There is no enough time to get into each of these principles, but there are some core principles in terms of the precautionary principle, which are very much important for us to act in situations where there are indications that things are going in the wrong directions. There is also polluter pays principle. There is also the principle of common but differential responsibilities. There are principles which says that we need to cooperate to prevent environmental dumping. We need to compensate for damages. We should have national environmental regulations. We should integrate environmental concerns into our activities. We should be taking into account the right to development, inter and intragenerational equity. Priority needs to be given to eradication of poverty, public participation, the vital role of women, youth, indigenous people, people under oppressed conditions needs to be given priority, and there has to be cooperation between the state and the people. For example, if you take the precautionary principle, there are 6 rules for this precautionary principle. The first rule is we have the responsibility to act with the duty of care. That is the stewardship that is expected. We should not wait for unambiguous scientific proof of causes and effect to initiate action, where there are indications that things are going in the wrong direction. We need to take precautionary action irrespective of foregone benefits. We should take lead and we should inform our society. We should respond to public unease. We should maintain transparency. We should never try to suppress information. So quite often, ethical questions arise, not when there is easy choice between the good solution and the bad one, but when real values conflict and it is not possible to preserve them all to the extent desired. If you want to look at the all content and the process and the tools that are required for this transformation, it is in terms of reducing the use of resources, reducing the waste, reducing our pressure on nature, increasing the efficiency of our activities, conserving fragile ecosystems, having social equity between and within countries and across generations, and providing a quality of life, not necessarily the standard of living, respecting the traditional knowledge, traditional ways of life, and also diversity. This requires active planning in consultation and decisions at the most local possible level in partnership. And the tools available to us are education, capacity building, regulations, market mechanisms, and public-private investments. The goals are the Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17 goals with the overall goal that people everywhere to have a decent life in peace and partnership, and prosperity is to be shared and our planet is to be protected. So you'll be able to see five P's: people, peace, partnership, prosperity, and planet. Of the 17 elements which we should try to push in a balanced manner are addressing poverty, hunger, health, education, equity, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work, industry, innovation and infrastructure, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate act 6, 7, and 12. It also looks at social and economic development. Of course, this should happen in partnership and there should be good governance. There are several targets. There are about 169 targets and 230 indicators. And there are action plans spread over 15 years by which these defined targets we should be able to achieve. Of course, we can be happy that yesterday, when this analysis now happens at country level, the results are published every year, and probably you have read in the newspaper that our state Kerala ranks top in terms of achievements with reference to this SDG targets. Of course, that doesn't mean that there is nothing much to be done. It's only a relative ranking. Among the different states, we are at the top. But still, there are major transformations required in different dimensions. Globally, it is identified in 6 dimensions. To start with, in terms of our education, health, human capacity, and demography. Changes is required in terms of our consumption and production, especially on the energy front, decarbonization of energy in terms of access to energy, efficient energy sources, and food, biosphere, and water, sustainable intensification of biodiversity, forest, oceans, healthy diets, having nutritious food, smart cities, decent housing, good mobility, sustainable transportation, sustainable infrastructure, addressing pollution, and maybe utilizing this digital revolution to support this in terms of artificial intelligence, big data analysis, the biotechnologies, nanotechnologies, or the autonomous systems which we are talking. So it was an enabling system in terms of a political system, which includes participation of citizens in decision making, an economic system that encourages conservation and enhance natural resources, a social system that is equitable, a production system that preserves the ecological base, a technological system that is oriented to solve the real needs in an efficient manner, and also a self-correcting administrative system and an international trade system on the patterns of sustainability. Now in India, These activities are spearheaded by our Niti Aayog under the leadership of our Prime Minister. There is a high-level state steering committee. There are also state-level committees which are trying to map these 17 SDGs into different actions that happens. And there are also several national programs and initiatives that align these sustainable development goals. Probably some of these goals, for example, if you take climate change, there are 8 missions which are addressing the different dimensions of climate change. The National Solar Mission, National Mission on Enhanced Energy Efficiency, National Mission on Sustainable Habitat, National Water Mission, National Mission for Sustaining the Himalayan Ecosystem, National Mission for Green India, National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture, and National Mission for Strategic Knowledge about Climate Change. All these missions are addressing the issue of climate change. Of course, there are also other missions like the Swachh Bharat Mission, Beti Bachao Mission, National Education Mission, or National Rural and Urban Livelihood Missions. So, in all these missions, what we are saying is sustainability is our responsibility. We need to understand the systems within which we live. We should live by thinking long term, recognizing the limits, practicing what is fair, protecting nature, and embracing creativity. There are different approaches, and during this workshop, I hope we will be dealing with specifically on some of the issues in the subsequent talks. As our time is limited, we are not getting specifically into it. But basically, we should not fall prey to this common notion that when it becomes a common responsibility, it is everybody's responsibility, so somebody will do it. That somebody is not there. It is all of us to do what we can do, what we can influence. For example, as civil engineers, we have a great responsibility because we are the master builders of the built environment. We are also the stewards of natural environment and resources because we employ technologies and business approaches to foster sustainable practices for the built environment and the natural environment. We can be the innovators and integrators of ideas and technology across the public, private, and academic sectors because we are the civil engineers. We also are responsible to manage risk and uncertainty, to reduce the incidents and effects of natural disasters, accidents, man-made disasters. And we should take leadership in shaping public, environmental, and infrastructure policies. So which means we should develop skills to deal with complexity, uncertainty, challenges, work with other disciplines, ability to understand and work within the environmental limits through resource efficiency, pollution prevention, pollution control, ability to deal with people through consultation process, taking into consideration of externalities associated with the projects and optimization, avoiding optimization around a single variable, but taking into consideration the totality. So from a system shock, we need to change to a system change. That's the time to make the transformation. So as engineers, we should be able to demonstrate through everyday practice and understanding of sustainability with interdisciplinary working skills. We should be able to make decisions where sustainability options are made easier, easily understandable, and affordable to our clients and contractors. We should be able to make specifications for sustainability in the criteria of the materials or the processes that we use, so that the sustainability gets embedded in the thinking and the practices. And the good news is that it is the best time to work in technology for global development. As we have seen, there are several problems that are entrenched, systematic, life-threatening, but they are solvable. If you're able to do that, this will also fetch you a true global career, because the opportunities are there everywhere, all around the world. Only thing, we should be able to apply these engineering skills in tandem with our other disciplines. You should be able to have the 5 mindset that we talked about: ability to see the connections, ability to analyze, apply the precautionary mindset, ability to act in collaboration. And there is also a convergence of sectors. Abundant resources are now being made available. So use the opportunity to develop partnership, both formal partnership, informal partnership, cultivate relationships of like-minded people and organizations. For example, if you take the domain of sustainable consumption and production, there are different subdomains. It could be related to sustainable resource management, design for sustainability, cleaner production and resource efficiency, sustainable transport, eco-labeling and certification, sustainable procurement, sustainable marketing, sustainable lifestyles, or waste management. And if you take design, there are again different strategies. It could be in terms of a new concept development, or physical optimization, or optimization of the materials that we use, or optimizing the production, optimizing the distribution, or reducing the impact during the usage of a product, or optimizing the end-of-life impact of the systems that we design. And if you extend to a particular domain, for example, building, there are again several areas where we can act. It could be in terms of resource efficiency, use of materials with low ecological footprint, energy efficiency, preserving the natural habitat, protecting the wetland, or using natural ventilation, natural daylight access, using window covering to reduce solar heating, water conservation practices, rainwater harvesting, installation of automatic licenses, recycling water, or reducing the footprint of buildings, providing large open space, or use of materials with less environmental impact. If you look at the energy front itself, there are different possibilities. It could be in terms of creation of renewable energy at site. It can be done in different forms, or efficient use of power, again, at different levels it is possible. Or could be in terms of monitoring our consumption. Even conserving water, it is connected with conserving energy. But there's a cross nexus between energy and water. Reducing waste is connected with conserving energy, because any material that we waste There is a lot of embedded energy. There is possibility to recover energy from the wastewater or the solid waste that we generate. So opportunities are plenty if we are able to have the ethics of sustainability embedded in it. Questions are also many, which we need to find answers. How do we stop living as if we are separate from our nature? How can we seize the opportunity to protect the planetary system that we all depend? How can we create a resilient economic system that will deliver social and environmental values? Will technology help us or lock us into an unsustainable trajectory or enable a regenerative future? It is in our hand. So this current moment of disruption due to COVID, it is proven that we have the ability to adapt and change. And it has also presented us with an unprecedented opportunity to reimagine our future. So this tells us that each one of us individually and through our organizations collectively have a role to play as part of this transformative change. This World Environment Day that we celebrate every year are just reminders of some areas of focus. For example, the World Environment Day this year is focusing on ecosystem restoration. So which means that we need to be resetting our relationship with nature and preventing, halting, and reversing the degradation of ecosystems worldwide. How do we do it? Can be through our actions, can be through our smart choices, or it could also be through our voice. It is left to us to how we can realize this. But the basic principle is look towards nature, learn from it, and start practicing it. Use nature as a model, use nature as a measure, use nature as a mentor. The core principles that we have and we can learn from nature is nature is life supporting, which means that we need to be feeling and get connected, being part of nature. Nature is systems based, which means it integrates the different possible synergies. Nature is value based, knowing what is really important. Nature is optimizing, fitting form to function. Nature leverages disturbances as an opportunity. That is the resilience capacity of the nature. Nature is adaptive. It senses and responds and tries to live and sustain itself. So let us learn from this nature's principle and realize the fact that each one of us have responsibility. Of course, nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something. As our Mahatma said, we need to be the change that we want to see in this world. And what we need is a systems change, not climate change. We need to be part of the solution, not part of pollution. Maybe as an individual, you may think that what difference I can make. One individual cannot possibly make a difference alone, but yet the fact remains that it is the individual efforts collectively that makes noticeable difference. all the differences in the world was initiated by individuals. So the world must progress together or fail together is in our hands. Thank you very much. Thank you for your patient hearing.
Thank you so much, sir. Now it's the time for the participants to have a discussion with our speaker. If you have any queries, you may unmute and ask the speaker, or you may post it in the chat box.
Oh,
The general comments from the participants are everyone were enjoying, and they were so much, they gained so much information regarding this area of ethics of sustainability.
yeah.
They've really appreciated about the slides as well as the information that you have passed to us.
Yeah. So what is the decision?
Participants, you can have the discussion with
Just by appreciation, if we close, then this session is of no use. Okay. It should lead to action. Okay. So what are the 5 mindsets that we should have? Let me ask questions. Let somebody respond. If anybody can recollect the 5 mindsets that I talked about. Anybody? Otherwise, I'll call your names. Anybody wants to volunteer? People are quickly leaving. Ashwini Arul. Ashwini. I hope all the participants can respond, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Participants, you're able to hear me. We talked about 5 mindsets that we need to have for sustainability. Anybody would like to collect that? In fact, that is the mindset that I would like you people to have. That I would like you to carry. Benchi Rajan, she's the environmental. Benchi Rajan.
Sir.
Yeah, that's the first mindset. Ability to see the connections. Okay, whatever small thing or big thing that we do, are we able to see the connections? Now, what are these connections? Is that you see the connections? How do we see these connections? So like that, we should ask questions. Unless we start asking questions, nothing will come out. Okay. I can talk for 1 more hour, but it will be of use only if we start relating it. So how do we see the connections?
Sir, I want to ask you something, sir.
Yes, Jenny, please.
Yes, sir. Sir, regarding social sustainability. Actually, after the independence, Indian women, girls are educated, equally educated like boys actually. But as for women, when they're educated, even though they are the part of the development of the society, they have other responsibilities at home also, because they are giving more time for the development of the next generation. They are so now presently women handling 2 responsibility. One is they are giving time for human resource development, and at the same time they are the engineers or the other employees. They are working for the other side, like financial part also. But as a society, India is, especially India and Kerala, they are not supporting women for this sustainable development actually. So how can we help the women so that they can shine, they can give anyway they are investing time for around 20 years or 21 years. They are investing time for studies, and most of the time their energy.
Okay, Jimmy. Now you are a woman. So what you expect or what are you demanding from the society? What do you want the society to provide you?
See,
not only you, I see most of our participants are ladies. So what do you want from the society? I do fully agree with you. It is not only in Kerala. Globally, if you take, even the measure of our welfare is not correct. How are we measuring welfare? Welfare we are measuring only in terms of GDP. Even that measure itself is not a correct measure. How people are thinking of redefining the concept of GDP. Currently, the GDP is not taking into consideration of the kind of values that you are referring to. It is not captured in the market system. What kind of service that you provide as a homemaker? That's a great service of nation building, of community building. But unfortunately, our social system or our economic system is not capturing it. So maybe there is a change that is required. We need to come out with a different measure by which this kind of contributions also can be captured. Now, this will not evolve by its own. Somebody has to initiate. And maybe once there is some limited people who accept to it, and then it is taken up by the society, it will spread. Okay. So it is good that at least you have started thinking. Now, how do we communicate this? Maybe how do we quantify this kind of additional benefits or contribution? How do we make that part of our conventional ways of quantification? It's a question for which somebody can do research and come out with an answer. And if we are able to take that to our decision makers, because it may not happen in one day, but it should happen. Okay. So please do take initiative, quantify things which are not currently quantified and accounted for. And to prove that, okay, our contributions are there and it is equal or higher than the contribution that happens in an economic level. And now, how you want that to be recognized is the question. Okay. Are you looking for recognition or compensation, or you are satisfied that you are doing it? I will get your last part of the question. What is that you're looking for? You're looking for a compensation system from the society for the homemakers' contribution. Is that what you're looking for?
One part is homemakers, their part is not recognized, one thing.
It's
and
not
generation
recognized economically, but the society recognizes it. So it's not that it's not recognized. The society certainly recognizes it, but in terms of maybe as a compensation or as a salary, if we talk, maybe it's not coming. Okay. That it is for the society to think and to come out with it. So which means, see, 50% of the women, the society are women. So you have the right to demand and for it. So the people also should come out with ideas how this could be recognized.
Then, sir, second part, sir, when ladies are spending time for motherhood, for generation, in our generation, if you're spending time for motherhood, they should get opportunity to come back also. If somebody is spending time for 5 years or 6 years, and then they'll be coming back to work after motherhood, if they're coming at the age of 38 or 39, then they will be incompetent. So extra care should be given to motivate them.
So you should appreciate that there are several things happening as compared to the past. But things are not yet full. That is why in sustainable development, we have one goal, it's the SDG 5. SDG 5 is just focusing on gender empowerment. Okay. There are many dimensions on which actions are required. What you are saying is one among that. So the whole world has set one focus area as gender empowerment. So, but on gender empowerment also there are many things. In that, what is priority? As sending everybody to the school and every girl children to the school. That becomes the priority rather than maybe providing this kind of a thing. I'm not saying that it is not important, but when we talk about gender empowerment, there are many more priority areas. Okay. Understood. So the society is working towards that, but then we should all support and we should all raise our voice. We should participate. Then only things will move. Yes, thank you, Jenny. So I was asking the 5 mindset that we talked about. Ability to see the connections. How do we see the connections? Probably 2 connections for whatever we do. We need to take from the Mother Earth if we have to do anything. If anybody can do anything without drawing anything from the Mother Earth, then they can maybe say they can't do it. So we need to use resources from the Mother Earth. That is the connection. Second, we discharge the waste, the emissions. So these are the 2 important connections. There is also an indirect connections. Of course, it is direct. Our interactions with the life support systems. For example, the climate. When we are using energy, we are playing with climate change, the climate regulation service. So that is how we should be able to see the connections, analyze the connections, take precautions, take actions in collaboration. So these 5 mindsets, please have. Jenny is talking about one connection. How Jenny needs to analyze the connections and initiative actions, and that action should be in collaboration so that ultimately it will fall in time. Thank you.
Any more questions from the participants?
Hello, sir.
Yes, Ruthi.
Sir, I have a doubt. So this pandemic that we are having right now
Yes.
globally,
Yeah.
so is this also part of this unethical behavior that we human beings do to our mother? Is it because of the way we behave to our mother that we are getting such pandemics? Or
There are schools of thoughts that are connected with our interactions with the Mother Earth, which has originated this pandemic. We still don't know from where this virus originated. There are 2 schools of thought. There is one school of thought which says that it has come out from a laboratory, so which means it is still from a human intervention or activity, because it is not clear. There is also another school of thought that has come out from a market where maybe wild meat was being sold. So that again still clearly tells whether it has come from a market or from a laboratory. It has come out of an intervention from the human being. It is very clear. Okay. But it wouldn't have come out with an intention. Nobody intentionally brought out this virus. But with some good intention, you are doing some activity that has released maybe this pandemic, and we are all struggling to get out of it.
okay, thank you, sir.
Any more queries? Sir, actually, one of our final year student have asked
Yes.
one. Actually, she has not a query. Actually, she is giving a suggestion that. So you have told that actually we can. You have given the last statement that be the change you want to see in the world. Actually,
Yes.
we can change ourselves. That is right. But actually, we alone is not, our single person change is not enough to meet or to solve all these issues, right? So,
So in fact, that is the point I was emphasizing in the last slide. This is the general perception that we have. See, we are 7.5 billion people in this world. So if one single person, if I make a change, will it make a difference? Okay. So the answer is, whatever changes that we have seen in this world, it all started with a single person. Like somebody gave me asked a question. That is the starting point. Now from there, it spreads, for example, our freedom movement. Because there were different people participated, but there was somebody to initiate it. And then we need to get acceptance of the same ideas by a group of people, and then it spreads like a pandemic. So don't worry that you are alone to start with. What you are starting, if it is in the interest of the society, there will be people to collaborate with you. And what a critical mass, maybe gaining that critical mass could be a challenge. It may take time. It will depend on the action that you're planning. So action that you plan should have incentive for different stakeholders. I don't know what action that you're planning, but where we start is what we can control, what we can influence to control. Once we do that, if that action is of interest to many, people will take it up. And of course, in the current language, if you talk, it will become viral. That's what we are seeing in the case of. Okay. So don't worry that you are alone. Okay. Go ahead.
thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I think we can wind up the session. Now I invite Associate Professor Bindu Sebastian of Department of Civil Engineering to propose a vote of thanks.
Good morning, all. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good morning, all. We had a wonderful session on ethics and sustainability by Dr. Kurian Joseph, sir. Sir had explained that true sustainability needs an ethical revolution. He also emphasized that our sustainability depends on our relation to nature, and sustainability is our global responsibility. Thank you, sir, for being here with us and sharing your valuable knowledge in spite of your busy schedule. Let me take this opportunity to thank the management, director, and vice principal of KME Engineering College for providing support for organizing this workshop. Also, I thank the HOD, Department of Civil Engineering, and organizers for arranging this program. I thank all HODs and other department staff for supporting us. The program will not be successful without participants. Thank you, dear participants, for being with us. Hope you all will be benefited from this program. Once again, thanking you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Bindu. Thank you, participants. Okay, I'll be sharing
Thank you, sir.
the presentation with the organizers. You please share it with the participants. Okay. You're also welcome to get in touch with me. I have given my email ID in the last slide. So wish you all a good day. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now the participants may please fill the feedback form which was posted in the chat box. And the second session will be continuing by 2 p.m. So all the participants are requested to resume the meeting on time. Thank you all. Have a good day.